Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to the distinguished guests on the platform. We want to, on behalf of the senior management team of the Ministry of Information, stand on existing protocols to ask for your undivided attention. The undivided attention is required because the press conference has been called to order. So thanks for honoring our invitation. I see we have a full house today. Our guest, the Honorable Minister of Transport, Honorable Sirleaf Tyler, is the Minister of Transport. He's here to lay out some details about the workings of the Ministry of Transport. And we also have Honorable Florence Kateka Geegboe, who is the Managing Director of the National Crossing Authority. In time past, the Ministry of Transport has mounted this podium to speak. Of course, this is the first time the National Crossing Authority is appearing here. First time on our leadership at this ministry. So, we want to say welcome to you, Madam Managing Director. Welcome to the Ministry of Information. I'm sure you're here with some members of your team. You will have the opportunity to properly introduce them on the mounted podium. We also want to say welcome to Minister Tyler, who has been working very closely with the Ministry of Information in disseminating some very key information about the transport sector. The last time he was here, when Air Ethiopia was being inaugurated, they also came here the other day, they presented a forecast on the weather. And all important information. But he's here today to talk about, provide some important updates from the ministry. So we'll provide him the opportunity, as we have always maintained. The Ministry of Information is the regular press briefing, the premier platform for government information dissemination. The whole nation, the world looks up to this platform to get information on Liberia, and we cannot help but frequently invite actors in various sectors to come here and speak to the Liberian people by addressing the press. We also want to recognize the Honorable Christopher Hayes Onanuga. He's the President Special Envoy of Tourism, and of course the Chairman of the Board of the National Tourism Authority. So you are welcome, and of course our able IT Minister, Honorable Johnny Takpa, is here as well. I want to say welcome to all of you. Today is Tuesday, the 7th day of October, and this press conference is a very special one. It's a very special one because we will unearth more about the developmental initiatives that the government is carrying out across the country. But that is what the Liberian people at this point in time are interested in, what the government is doing. So usually before we invite the guests to the podium, we have some comments to make and to provide you some updates. So I will now go straight into it. We see massive expansion in the energy sector of the country. LEC is connecting new communities. I'm told over 80 new communities have been connected. And the expansion process is across the country, not just in Washington County. I was following some credible media practitioners this morning on social media, and I see transformers and light poles have been shipped or transported to Buchanan, Grand Bassa County for the electrification of that city, which is very important. So the LEC is doing well. Even though some people believe that nothing is happening in the country, and we'll speak to that later on, but the LEC is doing extremely well. So let me just provide you updates on key infrastructure projects that are driving Liberia's energy future. The 20 megawatt solar farm. In October 2024, His Excellency President Joseph Mogwaka Sr. broke grounds for Liberia's first ever utility scale solar plant. The project is funded by the World Bank and is currently being implemented by the International Consolidated Contractors Offshore. The project has entered a crucial phase with steel structure being erected and solar panel installation processing simultaneously. Once completed in December 2025, the plan to deliver 20 megawatts of clean energy into Liberia's national grid, an unprecedented milestone in the country's energy transition. Beyond its impressive scale, the solar farm carries strategic importance for Liberia's energy mix. The 20 megawatts to be generated will directly supplement power supply during the dry season, when water levels at the McCoffey Hydro power plant typically decline and electricity generation falls short of national demand. This blending of hydro and solar resources represents a crucial step towards energy diversification, stability, and reliability. More than 300 Liberians, including engineers, solar technicians, security personnel, and support staff, have been engaged on short-term contracts for this project. Notably, 33% of workforce are women, reflecting a conscious effort towards gender inclusion in the energy sector. This solar farm is more than an energy project. It is a statement of Liberia's commitment to transitioning to renewable energy sources, cutting greenhouse gas emissions, and aligning with global climate resilient goals. The repair of turbine number 1 at the McCoffey Hydro plant. These are all steps that have been taken to stabilize electricity across the country. Sometimes you see the way LEC is really stable, you wonder, well, what is it that the new management team is doing that the other people could not do? So the things I'm saying to you here clearly reflect key infrastructure projects that are driving the tremendous progress taking place or that we are witnessing in the energy sector. The repair of turbine number 1 at the McCoffey Hydro Power Plant. The McCoffey Hydro Power Plant, Liberia flagship power generation facility, with an installed capacity of 88 megawatts, has faced operational challenges since July 2021, when turbine number 1, that is unit 1, went offline, preventing the plant from operating at full capacity. The shutdown of turbine number 1, one of the 4 units, has deprived the grid of 22 megawatts of power. The shortfall has been felt across the country, particularly during the peak of the dry season, leaving the nation more vulnerable to power shortages and forcing the Liberia Electricity Corporation to rely on supplementary and more expensive sources of generation. Each of the planned 4 turbines generates 22 megawatts, meaning the outage has reduced national energy generation by 25%. In June 2025, with funding and support from the World Bank, the LEC initiated a comprehensive repair work of Unit 1. Okay? The restoration work are already in progress and expected to conclude in May 2026. Once fully repaired, McCoffey will be restored to its full 88 megawatt capacity, significantly improving Liberia's ability to provide reliable and affordable electricity. The rural electrification in 4 counties through the CLSG Rural Electrification Project, which is funded by the African Development Bank. The Liberia Electricity Corporation, LEC, is bringing electricity to previously underserved rural communities across Grand Bassa, Riverside, Bong, and Lima counties. This transformative initiative is part of the LEC's broader mandate to expand energy across Liberia, improve quality of life, and stimulate socio-economic development across the country. The project encompasses a 3-kilometer stretch of high-voltage transmission lines connecting 3 major substations, Botota, Picano, and Dikepa. Once completed in December 2025, the program will deliver electricity to approximately 165 rural communities, providing over 25,000 new customers and reliable access to grid power for the first time. Operational management of the new grids are being carefully structured. The Riverside and Grand Bassa grids will be managed directly by the LEC Rural Electrification Division, while the Bong and Lima grids will be overseen by Jungle Energy JEP, Jungle Energy Power. The division of responsibilities ensures efficient management, maintenance, and customer service for all connected communities. The impact of electrification extends far beyond simply lighting homes. By empowering schools, the project enhances educational opportunities, allowing students to study after dark and access more learning tools. Electrify clinics and health centers improve healthcare delivery, supporting safer and more effective medical services. Community safety is enhanced through better lighting, while local economies receive the boost as small businesses and micro enterprises gain reliable power to operate and grow. So all of these things that LEC is doing, they also have here the planting of street lights on the ELWA corridor from ELWA Junction to the Roberts International Airport. The ELWA RIA Highway, Liberia's key gateway connecting Monrovia to Rabas International Airport is set for a major transformation. The Liberia Electricity Corporation, LEC, has initiated a 12-week electrification project running from September 29 to May-December 2025. The project will install multi-street lights along the corridor, all connected to the national grid. Critical areas along the highway have been strategically identified and divided into lots. Lot 1 is from ERW Junction to the Edward B. and Cassidy Barrack. Lot 2 is from Disco Hill to the Rabas International Airport. Okay, so those are the update on the energy sector. And when all of these things are happening in the country, there are some people who believe in their little cubicle. They believe that nothing is happening. And we don't understand that those who have their minds saturated with politics will think that tomorrow is the next election. And they intentionally play blind eye to all of the existing, the unfolding realities in the country. And they will want to portray total negativity and just become doubting Thomases and cast doubt on the future of the country, all in the name of grabbing power. We'll listen to some of them. We'll listen to some of them, and they have made some very deceptive assertions about the country. If you are a political leader, it's good to revive your party. You go to an election where you are expected to perform, and you decline. The economy will say that the diminishing margin of return. You decline. And in an attempt to revive your political ambition from out of obscurity, you are now caught up in what you call dishonesty. You're making a assertion that cannot be supported by facts. You're making a assertion that run contrary to the facts. And it is very much unfortunate for that political leader. I mean, it's one thing to be a political dwarf. It's another thing to be an intellectual dwarf. I'm not too sure those who are now presenting themselves as having solution to all of the country's problems expect us to forget what they told us yesterday. Some of the people who now saying that in just 19 months of the Buhari presidency, nothing has changed. We have to remind them. For 6 years under the previous administration, we came together on the CPP. Because the state of governance in the country was so terrible. Freedom of the press was being stifled. Professional auditors were killed in the exercise of their professional duties. Political opponents were haunted. Critical voices were silenced. You all know what happened to Patrick Ona and Punch FM. You know what happened to Aaron Costa, a radio station. We came together to rescue the country from perishing under the leadership of the former president. I would not want to mention his name. When Tanki Labrambo went to election and voted, this very political leader who said that he had given the former president rare cards And in spite of all of the negativity that happened to the country on the leadership of the former president, he went back on his own words to endorse that former president. Today, you see the country is progressing. That political leader was here when sanction was reigning, the October reign. When the country was being blacklisted on the international stage. That political leader was here. Apparently, he got cataract on his eyes, so he can't see properly. So you now come to the public and say, oh, nothing happening on 2 years. Those who are misleading that political leader, they're not doing him well. You cannot use dishonesty as a pathway to the presidency. Because Liberians are here. They are feeling the positive impact of the intervention being made by the government. I need not tell you that the government are taking steps to address the bread and butter issues. All of these interventions the government is making, price stability, availability of certain commodities on the market, those are intended to accomplish what we call macroeconomic stability in the country. And this political leader professes to be the one who has all of the solutions to Liberia's economic problem. It is just unfortunate. When you want to lead a country like Liberia, the way to go about it is to sit down on the tutelage of people who understand what the country is like. You know nothing about the country, you don't live here, you come, you go to a convention. He said nothing has changed. The last time when ruling party chairman were having press conference and saying that those who didn't support the government would die from starvation, you had a convention. The ruling party chairman was there. Something that never happened under the past administration. That tells you how politically tolerant the ruling party is. Chairman goes to a convention. Of course, you know that Moba Molu, on the leadership of the CDC, wouldn't have raised the convention of an opposition political party. It wouldn't have happened. But Luther Tafe was there. Because this government does not see politics as a do or die battle. It is a competition of ideas. What President Baga was elected to do, he's doing exactly what he was elected to do. It will be left with the Liberian people to make a determination. But because everybody just want to become president, yeah, it's your right as a Liberian citizen to vie for the presidency. But you have to choose your voice carefully when you put yourself at the level of somebody who is vying for the presidency. Where was the political leader when? I'm told he's from Maryland. I have not verified that. I'm told he's from Maryland. Where was he when people were riding helicopter passing through Aricos to go to Maryland in the campaign? Today, in the height of the rainy season, there are testimonies available all over the place. Some say they are taking 4 hours from here to the southeast. Some say 6 hours. I listened to a friend who left Monrovia on Friday evening and said he took 4 hours to reach Brangida County. Senators, business women are testifying along the corridor. But this political leader believes that nothing good is happening because he's not president of the country. Why do we build ourselves on this kind of deceptive platform that is not sustainable? Why? The time will come for campaigning. But if you went to a talk show and the judge asks you, if you don't have the information, do not make sweeping statements. There's a simple leader who said he can raise the budget to $1 billion. When they ask him, he said, oh, it's aspirational. He will not tell you how. But he professes to have solutions to all the problems in the country. When they were in opposition, They organized a protest called Without Suffering. He was leader of the CPP, or whatever you call it. They organized a protest in the Without Suffering. They were tired suffering, and somebody stole the entire suffering money. Somebody stole the money. What became of that case, we don't know. You have a president today who has led by example in striking the role of deterrence against those who have swayed from the values that he shared as a leader of the country. President Burger has not condoned corruption. Even though allegations, not conviction, but President Burger has not condoned people who are accused of corruption to be serving his government. Yes, somebody will argue that, oh, nobody has been convicted, but the president does not control the courts. He does not control the courts. What the public will judge the president by is the action he takes in striking the role of deterrence against those who engage in alleged acts of corruption. Of course, President Burger has done that. So I just thought to say to this political leader that he has to be careful. Being careful means that you carefully choose your choice of words. For him to have said that nothing good has happened to the country in the last 2 years, it was just unfortunate. And I don't think somebody who wants to become president of our country should be dwelling in dishonesty. Cannot become an epitome of contradiction, and you won't put trust you with national leadership. The National Fire Service has released the final report on the fire incident at the residence of the NSA boss, Honorable Prince C. Johnson. The Liberia National Fire Service, through the Ministry of Justice, has concluded its investigation into the residential fire incident that occurred on September 21st, 2025 at approximately 0300 hours at the residence of retired General Prince C. Johnson. The fire originated, according to the report, the fire originated from batteries, solar panel batteries that were overheating at the residence of Mr. Johnson. The fire originated in the batteries of the solar power system after the batteries overheated, producing an electrical shock socket. These contributing factors include heavy accumulation of combustible materials around the battery heavy accumulation of combustible materials around the battery installation significantly accelerated the fire spread. No fire safety equipment, example, portable extinguisher, smoke detector, or fixed suppression system was formed at the premises. Initial attempt to control the fire blaze by occupants and security personnel were unsuccessful. These efforts were limited and at one point shifted towards securing parked vehicle rather than extinguishing the ignited batteries. Attempts to isolate the power supply were made, but the lack of appropriate extinguishing materials allowed the fire to progress. There were no signs of foul play. The investigation found no evidence supporting claims of deliberate ignition. The Liberia National Fire Service investigation concludes that the fire was caused by a battery overheating that led to an electrical shock socket at the battery terminus, which subsequently ignited adjacent combustible materials. So that is the conclusion of the investigation. They say the fire started from a solar panel battery because they have a lot of combustible materials around the battery. So when it overheated, it caused fire. There was no way for them to extinguish the fire because there was no fire extinguisher, no safety equipment in the house. It's an unfortunate situation. It's an unfortunate situation, but we have to take this seriously. The fire service was, it's come here on many occasions, and the advised members of the public to take seriously the installation of smoke detectors, fire extinguishers at our rural homes. The Ministry of Gender and Social Protection reaffirms its unwavering commitment to ensuring transparency, accountability, and justice in the ongoing investigation of the alleged rape case involving former Deputy Minister of Youth and Sports, Mr. J. Brian McGill. While the Ministry recognizes the heightening public concern and the outrage surrounding this matter, the Ministry strongly urges the public and all stakeholders in the media to refrain from politicizing, prejudging, and sensationalizing the outcome of the investigation. The investigative process is at a critical phase as the Ministry legal team is working in close coordination with the Liberia National Police to ensure that due process is diligently observed. Every effort is being made to guarantee that the investigation remains independent, transparent, and completely free from external influences. The Ministry reassures the public that no stone will be left unturned in the pursuit of justice. In our development, the Ministry extends its profound appreciation to the residents of Bartown community on Bushra Island for their vigilant and courageous intervention in the recent alleged rape involving the staff of the Ministry of Agriculture. Such community solidarity and proactive action are commendable and serve as a vital example of citizen responsibility in combating sexual violence. The Central Bank of Liberia has issued a new directive on routing of government revenue collection and government to person G2P payment through the National Electronic Payment Switch Inclusive Instant Payment System. Effective October 27, 2025, all government payments to beneficiary, including salaries, pensions, and social benefits, and other transfers via mobile money, will be routed exclusively through the MEPS RRPS system. Effective December 1st, 2025, all government revenue collection via mobile money, including taxes, fees, levies, and related charges, will be routed exclusively through the MEPS RRPS. This move is aimed at promoting fiscal transparency, strengthening public financial management, and reducing leakages, enhancing efficiency through automated clearing and settlement at the central bank, ensuring a level playing field among mobile money and digital financial service providers, align Liberia's payment ecosystem with international best practices. The CBL will strictly enforce compliance, and failure to adhere will attract regulatory action as provided by law. This morning, the President of Liberia, His Excellency Joseph Boakai, made two initial appointments within the newly established Liberia National Tourism Authority. The appointment takes immediate effect. The appointments followed the enactment of the 2025 Liberia National Tourism Act, which established the Liberia National Tourism Authority on Title 30 of the Public Authorities Law. The establishment of the National Tourism Authority marks a major step towards revitalizing Liberia's tourism sector, promoting national heritage, and enhancing the country's image as a unique travel and investment destination. The new leadership team is expected to drive strategic programs that will strengthen research, planning, and development within the tourism industry. The Liberian leader expressed confidence in the appointees' ability to deliver on the mandate of the authority and contribute meaningfully to the government's arrest agenda for inclusive development. On that note, I will now pause as I invite to the podium the Honorable Minister of Transport, Honorable Sirleaf Tyler, who will be followed by the Managing Director of the National Enforcement Authority. Thank you. Oh, man, I show you, I put it in here. Hello, yeah. Forgive me, I'm not Before I begin, I would like to give a few copies of the few copies of the fairs, the national fairs that have been issued at the Ministry of Transport today through a stakeholder approach. Good afternoon, everyone. Officials of government, members of the press. About 30 days ago, the Ministry of Transport, along with inter-sectoral stakeholders, engaged in an exercise that led to the National Transportation Fairs for the entire country. We are pleased this day to release the fairs to the public. We see that the price of petroleum has dropped, and also we see that consumer price index for commercial vehicles, repairs, and other activity has stabilized and has dropped as well. But before I go further, I would like to do a few introductions. Madam Catherine, you can please stand for the press. It's our currently our Director for Statistics Research. It falls directly in her domain. And this is a stakeholder approach, so we invite all the unions to be part of the activities. So the president of the Liberia Federation of Transport Union is here with us. They are an integral part in the negotiation. The price analysis book from Commerce Ministry partner with us as well, and we released it, so it's an official from there. So we are calling the Ministry of Transport, it's calling on the government laboratory, the Ministry of Transport, is calling on all commercial drivers to adhere to the fare structure. When you look at this brochure, you see there's a number there that when you are not charged fairly by commercial drivers, you can report that by calling that number, or you can also report to the nearest police officer. For taxis, the first offense is $100 US for non-compliance, and for buses, the first offense is $200 US for non-compliance. And the second offense, which doubles for the various categories I just named. Also, there's another fare structure that we come up with, which has to do with the movement of petroleum products around the country. I mean, when you're moving 5,000 gallons to Kateka, what is the fare that you should be charging? We'll be going through that and announcing pretty succinctly in a few of the major cities. So with that, I will begin with the tankers first. So, and you have copies of this, members of the press. So if you have an oil tanker that is moving 10,000 gallons of fuel to Buchanan, there is a charge. But I'll start with Bummy, because the first county on this listing, from Monrovia to Tottenberg, the approved fare now is now 10 cents per gallon, United States dollars. So if you're moving 5,000 gallons, you can only charge 10 cents per gallon. From Monrovia to Bung Mines, you can only charge 10 cents per gallon.
From Monrovia to Totota, you can only charge 10 cents per gallon. From Monrovia to Buchanan, you can only charge 18 cents per gallon. From Monrovia to Rabrasport, you can charge 11 cents per gallon. From Monrovia to Zwedru, 72 cents per gallon. From Monrovia to Sastam, $1 per gallon. From Monrovia to Bonyama, 62 cents per gallon. From Monrovia to Zaza, 34 cents per gallon. Anywhere around central Monrovia, you can only charge 5 cents per gallon in the movement of those products. From Monrovia to Sanicole, 35 cents a gallon. From Monrovia to Tapeta is 58 cents per gallon. From Monrovia to Greenville is 88 cents per gallon. And we would share this with the public. I can't go and name all of the cities in our country. That would take a lot of time. But copies of this will be shared with you and you can do your publication. So I will move now to taxes, fares around the country. Let me zoom this in. This is the Leeward County, by the way. So from Monrovia to Banga, the approved fare is $900 Liberian. From Monrovia to Tottenburg, the approved fare is $600 Liberian. From Monrovia to Bar, $550 Liberian. From Monrovia to Bong Mines, $700 Liberian. This is for taxis. From Monrovia to Wiala, $500 Liberian. From Monrovia to Totota, $700 Liberian. From Monrovia to Swakoko, $900 Liberian. And I will move on to Bapolu County. From Monrovia to Bapolu City is about $1,400 on that trip, the fares. From Monrovia to Buchanan, $900 Liberian. From Monrovia to Sino, Greenville City is $5,000 Liberian. From Monrovia to Rabrasport, $1,250 Liberian. From Monrovia to Zwedru, again, $7,000 Liberian. But I want the public to know that we have decreased the fares across the country by 20%. Just about. From Monrovia to Bonyama is $4,000 Liberian. From Monrovia to Zaza is $2,500 Liberian. From Monrovia to Kakata is $300 Liberian. From Monrovia anywhere to Dwazon is $150 Liberian. This is for taxis only. From Monrovia to Banga, from Kakata to Banga is $700 Liberian. From Monrovia to Harper is $11,000 Liberian. From Monrovia to Ganta is $1,500 Liberian. From Ganta to Harper is $9,000 Liberian. So let me pick one city, Riverses. From Monrovia to Sesto City is $3,500 Liberian. So this will be shared with you again. And there's penalties for drivers that will violate the fares. And there's a phone number, or you can contact the nearest police for action. Also, to enforce this, the Ministry of Transport inspectors will be at the bureau points around Monrovia and around the country, as well as the Liberia National Police. So if you are overcharged and you have copies of the fare, tell the driver this is what I'm paying you. If he insists, you call the police or you take a picture of his license plate, and the government authorities will take action. And we'll find them on those as appropriately. Okay, let me move on. 1 second. So for buses, from Monrovia to Tottenburg, $300. From Monrovia to Bar, which is the border between Cape Mount and Bomi, $300. From Monrovia to Banga, $600. From Monrovia to Bong Mines, $400. From Monrovia to Swakoko, $600. From Monrovia to Bapolu City on the bus, the approved fare now is $1,000 Liberian. From Monrovia to Buchanan City is $500. From Monrovia to Robertsville is $700 Liberian. From Monrovia to Kakata is $150 Liberian. From Monrovia to Harper is $7,500 Liberian. So these are the fares we would like to announce to the public. Subsequently, we'll be announcing the fares for flatbed trucks that move flour and other rice and other commodities from one point to another. And we'll be announcing the short distance fares that Monrovia to Broadfield and Monrovia to other places in the soonest possible time. The reason why this is paramount to the government and paramount to the Ministry of Transport is that we know our fare structure is a bread and butter issue, right? So you have a lady of 3 children, she has to transport her children from, let's say she lives New Georgia Junction, she has to transport them to come to town to go to school every day. There's a cost, and that cost affects her disposable income, meaning large money in her pocket. The same way when she goes to the market, the large amount of money is what affected. So this is a bread and butter issue. We at the Ministry of Transport is excited and elated to carry out our statutory duty to let the public know that this is the fare structure that we have announced and approved. And by the way, this takes immediate effect. Let me repeat that. This takes immediate effect. Also, all commercial drivers, we are, I won't say warning you, but we are encouraging you to adhere to these fares. We work with your unions. Your unions is part of this discussion. They come and we work together. We go on the field. Our team go on the field and gather all the data. You work with us and we go back to your unions that go to you and sit with you and we agree together. So there will be no overcharge. When there's overcharge, there will be consequences which are legal. So at this point, I would like to take a few questions.
Thank you. So do you have questions?
The minister has another engagement to attend.
I'll be quiet.
He has another engagement to attend, so if you have questions, just come before Pamela. We'll take a question briefly, you respond, we'll have another speaker, and we'll take it.
Minister spoke on transport fare. Anything contrary to transport fare, your question will be thrown out.
Thank you, Minister. My name is Renzi Estiwia. I report for the Broad Agency. Thank you for the new rules and recommendations. But the citizen concern is good. Years now, in the past government, and now we will not setting up transport fares. And these things are not taking effect. People, we wasted people and drivers fighting for transport fares. Now, how prepared are you to enforce the new rules and regulations?
Thank you, Mr. T. We are.
You take that's four, right? Four?
Yeah, I take all of it.
That's your 4, then you respond. You take 4, you respond.
Okay.
How prepared are you to execute?
Minister, I'm Arena Ikwekweji, and I report from Blaze FM.
Will you repeat your name, please?
Arena Ikwekweji, and I report from Blaze FM.
Arena, okay.
My concern has to do with, it is a great step that the ministry have taken to reduce transportation fares in order for citizens to be able to go back and forth with their daily activities. But do your ministry take into consideration the economic hardship? Because let's say, for instance, a driver who, because you are doing a business, you need to make profit, and then you need to take servicing into consideration as well. Buying gas is one thing, and also servicing of your vehicle. So how can you reconcile that? How can you reconcile that?
What's your question?
My question is,
You got it, Minister?
Yeah.
So, my name is Joseph Sirleaf, and I report.
Please have it quiet.
ABC Radio. Mr. Minister, the regulation of transportation fare is a good thing, but I want to know, did the ministry conduct or survey to look at the sustainability of this, or is it just a quick impact project that after 2 months we'll go back to the same regular prices?
Thank you. Next question.
Joy riding from Sky FM and the Rovers in Hawaii. Recently, I had an encounter with the head for the Monserrat Bridge, the Federation of the Road Transport Union. And then he mentioned something about having discussion with Transport Ministry on the sea transportation fares. But then I believe that we can meet up to the citizen needs, but what about the drivers? Because normally they can receive money from the drivers, and I think for every passenger that they receive or maybe per car whatsoever, and the fare that they take is $900 per car. So what happens in that case? What they mentioned that they will not reduce the money. What do you have to say concerning that?
Okay, there are 4 questions, right?
Yes.
Can I respond to the
Can you
first
respond to
one?
the
Yeah.
first?
All right, Mr. T, we are asked how prepared the Ministry of Transport is in terms of the enforcement of the fares. You know, the thing about MOT is that, and that is the Ministry of Transport, just the synonym, the acronym rather. When we are doing our enforcement, you see how the country is. You see how we are rigid when we do those work. So those same efforts will be applied to the fares throughout the country. But again, we cannot be everywhere. So it is your civil duty to let us know when those issues arise. It is your civil duty to set up the license plate numbers of those buses or taxis or trucks that will not adhere to those these regulations. Again, we are prepared. The Liberia National Police is prepared as well. Mr. Arena talked about the economic hardship of drivers. So the model that goes into the approved fares calculations is not done only by the price of gasoline or petroleum products. It's done in what the Commerce Ministry is here. We look at the consumer price index of vehicle-related expenses, these other than petroleum prices. For example, fluids, there are other fluids that go into your vehicle. So we look at brake fluid, we look at other, the cost of engine oils. We also look at parts. When I mean parts, I'm talking about your brakes, your tires, and those things that can cause wear and tear on your vehicles. We look at those as well. So all of those is embedded in the model. And this was not done by just throwing the dice. This was done, when I started, I told you it was 30 days. Our team went out, they do their data analysis, they do traffic count, the Commerce Ministry is with us. They give us the price index, we work together, we get the unions in there, the federation people are here, the truckers union, we'll get the tankers union from the LPRC as well. So this is a collective effort. We just lead on the process and provide the guidance and provide the modeling that goes there. Then it goes back to the unions for their members to get the blessing. So this is the blessing that we all work together on. I mean, the approval, right, from us working with the various stakeholders to ensure that we come up with this. This was just not something that was arbitrarily done. This was done through a process. Madam Joy, I don't know what I'm saying your name well. Joy. Questions was about the fees that are paid by drivers at the Federation of Transport Union. There are points around. You see, the president of the Transport Union is here. Maybe he can address that after I throw my little light on it. You see, the unions are separate organizations. They are licensed by us and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but they are governed by their own bylaws, and they elect their own membership. You know, government cannot go into that to control their pricing and all of that. We regulate them, but we don't control. Say, well, charge a person 10 cents, 5 cents, except it comes to the point that it becomes too exorbitant. So, Mr. President, will you address quickly that, and I can continue? So let the president of the Transport Union address the fees that.
Thank you, Minister.
Yeah, push it on the side.
I guess Augustus Kamara is one of the President General of the Federation of Road Transport Union. We work along with the Ministry of Transport, get our eligibility from Ministry of Transport, and so the exercise that has been conducted, it was done in close consultation with us. So in fact, if you look at the reduction, it's just a little reduction. Almost what is being paid currently, we are almost like there. So because for me, I travel almost in the 15 countries, and if you look at the prices, they are actually affordable. Every other thing was taken into consideration. And what we charge is what we consider service fee. You park at our parking station when you are loaded, we check your money and give it to you, and then you give us a service fee. Just minimum amount. Whatever is collected in bulk is the fare for a bus or a taxi. So when it's loaded, there is something that you pay to all which we consider a service fee. And that is very minimal because we use our facility all over the country. In Ganta, in Tottenham, those of you that are traveling, you see our facilities, our infrastructure, those cars are parked there. Some of them even spend the night over, and then whatever little service that we provide to them, they also in turn give us a service fee. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just take 3 more questions and then I have to go to another function.
Thank you. My name is Desmond Will and I report for the Democracy Watch newspaper. Mr. Minister, I'm concerned about passenger safety. This is a very great initiative. Most of the times, these drivers overload these vehicles and then charge exorbitant. Is this regulation also taking into consideration passenger safety in terms of the number of passengers that are supposed to be seated at the back and in the front in order for the regulations to be in full compliance? And lastly, my source, credible source from my institution, has informed us that there is this continuous vehicle registration that is ongoing at the ministry, taking into account the traffic management that does that. How reliable and how better can you clarify this as a minister?
Good afternoon, my name is Jackson Alicia Brown, I report for 17. Mr. Minister, my concern has been, my attention has been drawn to the issue of issuing driver's license. Most of the time you get a transport ministry, you see people in front of the ministry approaching you for you to do business with them, for them to fix their driver's license. So what can you tell the public in line with this so that people can be misled by getting the wrong driver's license? And the second thing here is the overloading of vehicles, especially those that take things, you see buses, they pack things on top of it and they threaten the passenger safety. What are you doing about it to make sure that the drivers comply and take the limited quantity or in line of safety procedures that passengers' lives will be possible? Thank you. The last word.
I'm Larry Tipping, I report for IFM. Mr. Minister, thanks. I listened to you mentioning the funds for taxis drivers. According to you, first offense is 100, second offense is 200. But what about the buses? I didn't hear you say something about the fund for the buses.
All right. So Mr. Desmond talked about passenger safety. The regulation is in place. We know how many passengers should be in a taxi, and we know how many passengers should be in the front and the back. So, but this exercise was strictly about the fares. The Liberia National Police are stakeholders with the Ministry of Transport that enforce all regulations and will collaborate and work together on a daily basis. All of the traffic violations, you see the police is going around now in vehicles and the issuing tickets and stuff. We will be vigilant, we enforce this, and we enforce all regulations thereof. Mr. Desmond talked about registrations. The Ministry of Transport is the government entity responsible for all modes of transportation in the country, as enacted by the 1987 Act. Land, road, air, sea. We are the regulatory body and we are the policy maker. That stays as that. So, Mr. Siafa talked about our driver license processes. we are clear. If you want to have a driver license, if you're a new driver, you proceed at a driving school, you will get certified, and we act on those certificates and issue the driver licenses. Our process will be changed in the soonest possible time. I believe January 1st, so we'll do more enforced regulation on that. About people standing in from our building. We are not fenced. We cannot have people standing on our side, but we can control the other side. Because all citizens have the right to the street, right? I mean, it's called common easement. So we don't have the authority to tell somebody to move on the street. But we are responsible for what happens on our side and in our buildings. We have done some, if you go to the Ministry of Transport now, you see we got automated systems, fingerprint system around. You see, you can go upstairs and say you have the authorization to do it. Even some employees cannot go inside the part of the building because we have the biometric access system there. So we are doing our best, but again, common easement, we cannot control common easement because people have the legal right to do so. But in our building and our staff, we are on the civil servant rules and the other fiduciary responsibility to execute just the functions that we have the authority to do. So with this, I'd like to leave.
My question?
All right, one more thing.
Yeah, the duration. Did the ministry conduct any survey on the sustainability of this?
Okay, yeah. So, I believe I didn't tell you that, so I apologize. But the duration, the fares remains in force until we issue a new one. And we have a threshold. Every time gasoline prices go down by 50 cents, we act. If gasoline prices or the petroleum products in general prices goes up by 50 cents, we act. But we act in consideration of the consumer price index for related motor vehicle expenses. Primarily, the cost of fluids, that means your brake shoes, your brake fluid, your engine oil, and other parts related, like tires and brakes, because the drivers have to maintain their cars and they have to make minimum profit, or a profit margin as well to sustain themselves. And they have a quota to give to their bosses. So we take all of that into consideration. When you talk about survey, our people go on the field throughout the country. They take weeks out. They go from here to Harper, they go to Riverside, they go all over. Bring all of them with all the necessary data to collect. And then we have a model, we don't pay in a model. Commerce Ministry is there to provide the guidance on the CBR for the motor related expenses. Also, we get the union buy-in. Even after that is done, we call the union, we go into a working section, and take it back to the members, and then we come up with the regulation for the fares that we just announced.
Mr. Minister, is the ministry involved in the vehicle registration?
I have answered you. I think that's the second time. The Ministry of Transport is responsible by the Act of the 1987 Act of the Legislature for all modes of transportation in the country. That's land, air, sea, rail, intermodal, pipeline as well.
Thank you, Mr. Minister.
Thank you.
Hello. That will be the
We are still in section, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will stamp on existing protocol and declare that we are all welcome here as we speak on issues concerning the National Housing Authority of the Republic of Liberia. I have come along with my colleagues. I have at my far left the Deputy Managing Director for Administration. Close to him is the Deputy for Technical Services. And I have my strong man, my project manager, and then my media manager. You may want to know their names, Mr. Prince Sabona, Honorable Prince Sabona, Honorable Ellis Rene, Mr. Ismail Brooklyn, and Mr. Maxwell Davis. I want to say thank you for giving us this audience, Mr. Minister. Thank you so very much for this opportunity. I would first of all like to give you an overview of the National Housing Authority and look at the housing sector of the Republic of Liberia. Liberia's housing sector faces a severe affordability crisis with high construction costs, limited finance, and poverty making decent housing unattainable for most of our citizens. The urban areas like Monrovia, Kakata, Bukana also, the urban areas are experiencing overcrowdedness. Our urban settings across the country with those fast-growing urban areas like you can say also Ganta, these areas are experiencing overcrowdedness. There is a lack of funding and comprehensive policies to help us improve the housing situation in Liberia. So funding and comprehensive housing development policies are a bottleneck in improving our housing situation in this republic. Also for our housing sector, because of the overcrowdedness, limited funding, and homes for our people, we have a huge slum situation in our country, especially in urban settings. We don't have mortgage banks. We don't have housing financing and refinancing institutions. And also, another major problem we have in our housing development sector is land. Every National Housing Authority or National Housing Ministry should have a land bank where you can say this is public land that we can go and build our homes upon or get our partners to come over and develop the homes. Our land bank as an institution is depleted completely, but we find a way out. And we're going to be discussing those later on. Now let's look at the housing needs of this country. The study was conducted in our 15 counties, not only in Monrovia. We need 200,000 new dwelling units to reduce current crowding. We need 163,035 housing units to keep up with our population growth. We need 4,891 housing units to replace the old and damaged housing that are at 3% per annum. We need a total of 512,000 urban dwellings by 2030. These statistics were gathered from UN Habitat 2014 Liberia Housing Profile, and not much has been done, so we are still relying on these statistics. 70% of the population live in slums under devastating housing conditions. I think all of us are a witness to that. That is a study done by the World Bank in 2020. Now, I have said all of these that it's not that pleasant for all of us. Now, what do we do to resolve these issues as a country and as a people? We need direct government of Liberia investment. The government needs to put money into the housing sector. We've just completed, as an institution, the Arrest Agenda for Inclusive Development proposal. And that proposal will be implemented 2026 to 2029 for civil servants housing projects. We submitted that. It's at the cost of $16.8 million United States dollars. We pray that we get it. We have sort of like formulated a National Housing Trust Fund and the Civil Servant Housing Assets Act of 2025. This has been drafted. We passed it through some friends, even ourselves. And someone may say, where did you get that idea from? That we should have a National Housing Trust Fund. We've attended several conferences on housing development in the region, the African region, both West Africa and Northern Africa. And what we realized is that for the housing sector to thrive, you need the National Housing Trust Fund, which will serve as a guarantee that if I come as a development partner to construct homes in your country, I can get my money back. My investment can be redeemed. So, what do we have as a country that we can say, okay, we want for all of our civil servants to have a home upon retirement? We need a trust fund. That has been practiced in over 16 countries in the development community. So that trust fund the act is being completely drafted. We should be sending it to the Law Reform. I'm sure by now my legal guy has sent it to the Law Reform Commission for verification, because you know when you pass in a new act, you got to send it to the lawyers to ensure that it's not being duplicated. Your articles are not being duplicated. So that has been drafted. And then we go to the Cabinet Secretary, and then we submit it to the National Legislature for passing into law. We want to run after that fast. We have a National Housing Authority Act that was established in 1960, April to be precise, 1960, and it is obsolete. So we have worked with some colleagues and ourselves. We have also drafted an act that we amend and restate our act. And that act should be able to help us to have some regulatory powers around here. We should have some powers that will enable us to be able to license you when you build in your home. And what kind of structure are you putting down? Someone may say, what about public works? Public works is responsible for the zoning component, where you build your house, whether you are within the confines of your demarcation as inscribed on your deed. So the kind of home you build, some people build home after 1 week it collapsing or it's sinking because they didn't consider the soil test, the soil, what kind of soil you build it on. Have you tested the soil for you to know the kind of foundation to put there? So we want those regulatory powers so as to safeguard our people, the Liberian people. So the amendment and restatement of our act will be giving us those powers. It's also being sent to the Law Reform Commission for verification. Now, at the National Housing Authority, we've had conversations with public-private partners because, you know, the government cannot handle all of the limitations that we have as a country in our housing sector. So we need partners. We've traveled across. We travel around. Some people have heard that Liberia got a new government. We need to go there and help them develop the country. So we have sort of like established some public-private partnership, and we've gone into memorandum of understanding. But amidst this, there is responsibility that the government has to meet. We must have the land, we must have financing institution, refinancing institution, mortgage banks, okay? So the GLL, in order for us to ensure a friendly, investment-friendly environment, we need to ensure that we have these institutions. So we have also to, we have to establish housing mortgage schemes to implement our housing development programs. So we have, as per these schemes, at the moment, we have been working around the clock to ensure that the National Housing and Agriculture Bank is open within months. There is a preliminary license, and that bank should be open to be able to serve us in that capacity as regards our mortgage schemes. We also have established bilateral relationships for knowledge and experience sharing. I recently returned from Ghana, held a meeting with the Ministry of Housing and Works, and we have sort of like agreed to have a team from that institution coming to Liberia to come and train, share knowledge, and then put us in one room and have a conversation on the way forward for our housing development sector. Also, I'm talking to the Sierra Leone Minister of Housing. He should be visiting us soon. He sent a messenger ahead. I have had a messenger, conversations with that messenger. I'm in conversation with the Sierra Leone Embassy situated here in our capital. So that is, all of these efforts are to help us at least be a part of the Committee of Nations as regards housing development in developing countries. I spoke about Ghana. I want to use Ghana case. People go to Ghana, they come around here, even when somebody say, I'm not carrying the person to Ghana. Why are you carrying the person to Ghana? Because they have put themselves together and put in place smart policies, smart constitutions that are helping them. And because of that, my study of Ghana, I just realized and I discovered that the real estate market value of the Republic of Ghana for 2025 is 456.11 billion. Ghana's housing sector generates revenue primarily through real estate investment, property ownership, renting out properties, and that is a very significant contributor to the country's economy. Ghana's housing revenue generation is primarily driven by rapidly growing real